Well, hello, my friends. This is Kevin, the Homemaker husband. Once again, I'd like to say thank you for choosing to spend a few of your precious moments with me. It's been a busy morning so far. It's 11:40 a.m. here now, and we're just about to make lunch. But I got back from running some errands, and I've got a small little grocery haul here. Went to Costco as well, so had to go to the post office to mail a package for Michelle, and I've been to Walmart. And I went to the bottle exchange, which I've never talked with you about. I decided in the spring, one of the young fellows at work says, I save my bottles and cans, and he said that pays for all my gas and stuff like that I use during hunting season. And I thought, that's a pretty good idea. And the economy is as such that I thought, I can't afford to be throwing away money anymore. So I've started saving the bottles and cans that we generate here and stuff. So I took them back to the bottle depot first thing this morning. We don't have much room for storage here, so that's the inconvenient part. But there's a bottle exchange very close to here, so I went there first thing this morning. I was the first person there, and I got in and out. So that was done. Also, the elephant in the room. Those of you that watch me know that we've been kind of election watching here. And the election happened just this past Monday, and it did not go the way we were hoping. For us, like we, Michelle and I. And anyway, I'm not going to talk about that any more than what I just said. I'm going to get that at the end of this video. So if you're interested to hear what I have to say about that, stay with me. Also, for those of you that are interested in a little more depth there, I'm going to share with you my thoughts about the election from a biblical perspective. Those of you that aren't Christians, that aren't interested in hearing my biblical perspective on it, I will give you a warning, and you can stop watching, or you can watch anyway. And I hope you do. But for right now, I'm going to show you the things that I picked up at Walmart and Costco. And then we'll go from there. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to start right here. Now, these didn't come from Walmart or Costco. We got these from our friends at Amazon. Michelle ordered them. And they're a great rig. They're all going to have to be washed, of course. I don't know if I'm going to wash them as I need them, or I'll wash them all at once. Probably, like I'll wash one set. There's 4 sets of 3 containers here. This one's 2 1/4 liters and a liter, and then that one down in there. I forget how they go, but it's set on the box. But anyway, these are a very great deal. And these containers, Michelle can use without injuring herself. I showed you the last time. I just bought a 3-pack of containers that are smaller than this. She used them all this week, and she was able to use them without hurting herself. So that's what's important. So yeah, she ordered them from Amazon. I'm not sure how much they were, right? And you know what? We can't get this type of thing in this setup anywhere else. So it came from Amazon. And the next bunch we're going to buy from Amazon if we wanted. All I'm saying is, if you don't want to shop from Amazon, don't worry. You don't have to. It's not a requirement to watch this channel. Now, these things here, this is Walmart. I got this butter blend mixture of lettuce for Michelle, basically. If I wanted some too, obviously I can. And I got this bacon Caesar salad kit. I prefer a Caesar salad to a garden salad. Michelle likes them both. I like them both, just however we want to eat it. But we are going to have salad this weekend, so I got one of each. And I got a jar of this Renee's Caesar salad dressing. I like that about the best. It's probably the best one going. Also, a bottle of this VH pineapple sauce and VH honey sriracha. We like them both, and we're getting down, I guess. So I picked up 2 of these pie crusts, Pillsbury pie crusts. We are going to make a chicken pie tomorrow for food for the week, and that's the pie crust we're using. A bag of Wonder hamburger buns. I still am taking my bologna sandwiches, not every day, and we have burgers and chicken burgers and all sorts of neat stuff that we use these for, so I picked up a package of them. Also, 2 of this organic chicken broth. We'll use at least probably 1 of them to make the gravy or sauce, whatever you want to call it, for the chicken pie that we're making tomorrow. So there is indeed 2 of those. And Michelle likes this once in a while. Having some of this on the pantry shelf just makes it so that if she doesn't feel like eating whatever we have prepared, you know, and sometimes that happens, right? Then she can have that, right? An option anyway. I picked up 3 cans of this cloverleaf tuna just simply because it was on sale for 94 cents a can. And this brand name stuff, cloverleaf, is more than $2 now, right? So I said I should have just grabbed a whole case. And yeah, another story anyway. This is the no-calorie sweetener that I use in my coffee. And you know, I was thinking, I have lots of people that have criticized in the past about using this because it's a chemical and it's bad for you, right? And I could say so much about that. But the thing that I will say right now, before somebody wants to grumble that I use this in my coffee, be prepared to tell me how many people sugar has killed. How many, you know, like natural sugar is responsible for an awful lot of suffering in the world. So anyway, more than that, I'd be willing to bet. Another box of that fully cooked, naturally smoked bacon that we like so much and like to keep on hand. I got a box of this that's just going in the store. This is not the cup of soups. This is the regular, like, pot of soup for the family type deal. 1 of them for the shelf. A loaf of Wonder bread for whatever. And another pound of this medium ground beef. We're going to use that. We're going to have nachos. We never made them last weekend, so we're going to do them this weekend. And 2 of these little flavor enhancers for my bottled water that I like to drink. Right? 2 of those. And this bottle of distilled water came from Walmart as well for my CPAP machine. Now, I bought a package of socks. I have small feet, so these are actually women's socks. They fit me better, right? I need socks for the summer, so I bought them. And they were $15, but with a $5 off at the register, right? So I said, those are the ones I'm getting. 2 more bottles of ibuprofen, the Kirkland brand ibuprofen for the store, basically. And a case of the pop that Michelle drinks. There's 32 cans in there, and it's just the best price, right? You can't beat it. Now this bag of these little chocolates, sorry, I've obviously already opened them. Those of you that have seen the cookie jar we use for candy, I filled that up. And there's still another fill up, probably plus some, right? For when you want just a taste of chocolate, but you don't want a whole chocolate bar, which is all the time, right? That's too many calories and not good for you. You can have 1 or 2 of them. And of course, 2 packages of the Kirkland brand toilet paper, because if you don't get 2, you just end up going back too soon. So yeah, that is the grocery haul for today. And as I said, after lunch, I am going to talk about the election outcome, my thoughts on it, for what they're worth, and some biblical thoughts as well. So please stay tuned for that. Okay, my friends. So for those of you who are interested at all, for those of you that are curious as to what happened, I can kind of talk about it for a few minutes. Now, first thing I want to say is I started the dishwasher without even thinking. So I'm hoping that that doesn't cause too much issue. So, our election. No, it did not turn out as we had hoped. And I'm gonna confess right up front. I spent the first day and a half, 24, 36 hours, I was pretty upset. And when I say I was pretty upset, I was questioning even why the Lord would let this happen. Pierre Poilievre is the head of a movement. And listen, whether or not you're Trump fans, if you're watching this in the US, that's not the issue. That's not what I'm saying. But Canadian, American, doesn't matter what country you're from, you have to admit that Trump is the head of a movement. We call it the MAGA movement, right? And if you like Trump, you're okay with that term MAGA movement. If you're anti-Trump, then you say the MAGA movement with disdain and don't like it. Pierre Poilievre, I don't know what the movement was called, but Pierre Poilievre is the leader of a movement, much the same as Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying they're the same people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're both the head of a movement. People want change. That being said, Pierre Poilievre got 40, and I'm saying that because of the way our elections work. People, we vote, we only get one vote, and we vote for our local candidate, but that local candidate represents the party we want to see lead. So 40.7% of the people in Canada that voted for Pierre Poilievre, right? Now, it was 41.8, I believe, and I'm not trying to be scientific on this 100%, so don't even bother trying to correct me. It's unimportant. Carney got 41.8% of the vote, I believe. Now, how did he do that? Well, I have to admit that Donald Trump said some things like Canada becoming the 51st state and annexing Canada, and people got their knickers all in a knot. And I'm going to tell you, the people that got their panties all in a knot, forgive me for even using that term, it's a bit crude, but the people that got all upset about Trump going to take over Canada needed to educate themselves, but they didn't. Right? They didn't. And if you are one of those people and that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, get a helmet. You're going to need it in the next few years. So, there's a whole bunch of people that chose not to take that extra little step and try to get some information for themselves. And they got their knickers all in a knot. Maybe that's a little nicer thing to say. And they voted for Carney. Now, what else took place? The NDP, the New Democratic Party, which are just another socialist party, really, they pulled 100 candidates in, like there's 353 ridings or something like that. And like I said, I'm not trying to be scientific here. But they pulled 100 candidates in ridings where they figured it would be very close, because they figured if they pulled their candidates, their people would vote for Carney, which they basically did en masse, right? Because typically there's 4 actual parties. Like there's more than that, but there's 4. The Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens. The Greens got decimated this time. They got 1 seat in the House. And the NDP got 7. They both lost ground this election. And The Carney Liberals got 168. 168. And they needed 172 or 3 this time for a majority. So they're dangerously close. But it still is a minority government. The Conservatives gained ground. They gained more seats. And I forget right off the top of my head, 150 some seats that they got. But really it's very close. Now, the only reason that people voted Liberal, because you have your Liberal Party they're far leftist now. They're gone over the hill socialists. They really are now. And we're going to see that. Then you had your NDP that used to be to the left of them, and the Greens, they're out wandering around way out in the left there, right? And I say that, and if there's people that tend to be green, they'll be all offended and be mad at me and unsubscribe and all that stuff. And I'm not trying to be mean. And there is still a touch of bitterness there. But the Lord is working with me on it. And as I said, I'll talk more about that in a minute. So, we're now facing a liberal minority government. And the person with the most seats is the Prime Minister, and that's Mark Carney. Now I say, the people that voted for Mark Carney clearly have no idea who Mark Carney is. Mark Carney is a globalist. He's all in for the green agenda. He does not care about people. Their platform, Trudeau got it started by the year 2035. No more gasoline cars can be sold, only electric. They'll be phasing them out before that, and along with that will come great big taxes. Another thing that Carney did is he took the carbon tax off of gasoline and home heating oil and natural gas, I believe. I'm not 100% sure about the natural gas. We don't do that much of natural gas in this part of the Canada, so I'm not up on it. But with that carbon tax is 3 times a year, or it was either every 3 months or every 4 months, they paid a rebate, which was not as much as what we paid in the tax, but at least you get a little money back. Now they've done away with that. So nobody's going to get a carbon tax rebate at all, but we're going to pay carbon tax out the wazoo because it's going to be applied to all the people that create the things that we need to live on a daily basis. Gasoline, electricity, and all that stuff, right? So that's another thing, the electricity. So even when everybody gets electric cars and electric heat pumps and all that stuff, the price of electricity is going to go through the roof, and nobody's going to be able to afford to heat their home. And I'm not talking hypothetically here. This is the way it's going to be. All right, look at Europe. They're following this Green New Deal, this green agenda, and there's many of you that watch us regularly that are from Europe and can back this up. Your electricity has gotten ridiculous expensive. Plus the way that it has to be generated, we can't generate enough. It's unreliable. Ask those in Texas who nearly froze to death 2 or 3 winters ago because they were using too much renewable energy, wind, solar, and all that stuff, and then the temperature dropped right down to nothing below freezing, and their energy wasn't being produced, and they had no electricity, and people were suffering greatly. Anyway, so the people that voted for Carney did it completely ignorantly, not knowing who he was or what he represents. In England, where he was the Bank of England for 10, or like the governor or whatever they called it of the Bank of England for 10 years, he just wreaked havoc on their economy to the point where they called him Mark Carnage, not Carney. So, yes. And our press is extremely culpable, because if that had been a conservative person that did that, they would never have stopped harping on that. But because it's their man, the man that has, or the party that has bought and paid for CTV and CBC and all of those alphabet soup media outlets here in this country, they promote them, so they make sure to cover all that stuff up, and they run interference and all that stuff. So we are in bad shape. And all the people that were happy to have Mark Carney win are going to suffer right along with the rest of us. He's also, he will come for the tools that we use to harvest meat and all of that stuff. He's going to come for them. Why? Not because he cares about crime, because if the Liberals cared about crime, they would clamp down on it, but they just don't. They do not care. And this guy cares less than Trudeau did. Mark Carney's business that he's still very much affiliated with, and he was allowed by the press to not disclose what his financial interests were, his assets. And I think it's Brookfield or whatever, they've already started getting big contracts with the U.S. He's already caved to Donald Trump. I mean, they're going to have a meeting on next Tuesday, but Donald Trump is going to get everything that he wanted because what he was asking for wasn't extreme or out of the realm of what should have been done anyway. But because of our complicit press, the Liberals, they were allowed to say whatever ridiculous thing they want, and the press parrots it, and they attack anybody that isn't on their side and all that foolishness. So here we are today. So if you voted in Canada for Mark Carney, I hope you enjoy it. You're going to get the government you voted for, and you're going to get it hard. And that sounds like a lot of bitterness, doesn't it? And really it is. So now is the time for you, if you're not interested in me having anything to say about what I think the Bible tells us about this, then now's the time for you to hit the stop button if you're still here. I should say this too. In Canada, I checked just before I started this part of the video. We have had in our history 16 minority governments. The average length of time that a majority government or minority government, we've had 16 minority governments. The average length of time that a minority government is in power is 2 years. And that includes the time from when the government falls until there's an election call and a new government is elected. So in my lifetime, which is one-third, of the history of Canada as a country, there have been 6 minority governments, right? And the average length of time, as I said, was 2 years. So it's happened a lot in the last 1/3 of the history of Canada. The last minority government stayed in power for 4 years, which was unusual because Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, abandoned their values, the NDP principles and values, and sided with Trudeau and kept him in power. And he did it because he said he did not want Pierre Poilievre to win a conservative majority. In other words, he did not want the will of the people to prevail. So he sided with Trudeau against all of us. And he will get his for that one day. Now the biblical portion. What we are seeing is and I've said this before, I don't know whether I've said it on this channel or my other channel. I made a video and it did not get up before the election where I talked about, is it okay for a Christian to be concerned with politics? And it absolutely is. Is it okay to pray for an outcome that you'd like to see? And it is. Well, when the outcome is not what we pray for, then that is God's will, because he's in complete and total control of everything, right? So, now that Mark Carney is in power, I pray for him. Now, how do we pray for him? Do I pray for him to be successful? Not really. Not really, because I know the kind of misery that he's going to bring about. And I'm not kidding when I say misery. But that's God's will. Now you say, why would God will misery? Why? Because we are being punished as a nation. What you are seeing is the wrath of abandonment that God flexes, right? That he abandons he has abandoned this nation. It's easy to see. Now, we hear people all the time saying, get ready, the rapture is going to occur at any moment. And of course it can. No human being on the face of the earth that ever has been, is now, or ever will be, knows when the rapture is going to occur. Right? Those that tell you they know are false prophets. Plain and simple. So yes, we know that the rapture could happen any second. But we also know that it could be 1,000 years. It could be 500, could be 2,000 more years, right? Before the rapture occurs. And when a nation such as Canada, and it's happening in the U.S. too. It's happening all around the world. I don't want to get too much into why the U.S. is a little different right now, because it is. But the progression of evil is being fought against harder in the U.S. than anywhere else in the world right now. Right now. That's all I'll say. Here in Canada, it's going full blast. Now, what is the greatest sign of the wrath of abandonment? Sexual perversity. That's all I really dare say. That is biblically the greatest sign of the abandonment, or the wrath of abandonment. Sexual perversity. And without going into all the gory, dirty details, you see that. You see it in the U.S., yes, but it's being fought against. You see it here in Canada, and it's being lauded, right? It's being praised, it's being promoted, it's being pushed, jammed down our throats, right? And so we now have a government that God is going to demonstrate his wrath. Will there be a rapture right away? Absolutely, there could be. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is prepare, if you're a Christian, prepare to live in a very dark, dark time. If you're not a Christian, prepare to live in a very, very dark time. Because I believe that this liberal government is a tool that God is using and going to use to probably ultimately destroy Canada. There's lots of non-Christian pundits out there saying that Canada as a nation is done. Absolutely done. And this would not surprise me. Just based on the things that Mark Carney wants to get done in the time frame, very, very serious. It's an anti-human movement, which makes it flat out satanic, because Satan is very much anti-human. So I think that's where we're at. Now, I have many other thoughts that I could go into, but I'm watching the time here and I'm getting very long. So there is hope in that a minority government, even though he's very close to a majority, and only God knows the future, but there are things that could happen that could project him into a majority government thing. And if that was the case, he could stay for 5 years this time without calling an election, and in that 5 years he will bring Canada to its knees completely, because he doesn't care about people. That's the big thing you have to understand. Mark Carney does not care about people, and if you think he does, I'm sorry, you're fooling yourself. So anyway, I better wrap it up right here now. If you've watched this long, thank you very much. If you have any questions, shoot them my way. Maybe I can do another video just talking about that. If you're praying for Michelle and I, and you're praying for this country, thank you very much. Please keep it up. If you need prayers for anything yourself, shoot that request my way. I love to pray, need to pray more, we all do. Yeah, I would like to do some videos for the other channel. I have many ideas, and if you enjoy me talking like this, then let me know, encourage me. Maybe I need some encouragement. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and thank you very much. This is Kevin, the Homemaker husband, saying God bless, and bye for now.